भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us now pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, thou abidest in all, thou art all, thou assumest all forms, thou art the origin and goal of all, thou art the self of all, thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Let us meditate on the deepest core of our being. Let us separate ourselves for now from all the temporal identities like body and mind. Just as one separates oneself from the clothings, let us separate ourselves from the body, which is just like a clothing. Let us feel that it has been taken off. Now the characteristics of body are not affecting me anymore. I am not limited by age, gender, size, color, all that belong to body. I am not that. I have kept the body on the hanger, as it were, like we keep the coat on the coat hanger. So also I have unbuttoned the body and kept it for use when needed. Then let me also get rid of this covering or clothing called mind, or this subtle body. It consists of what we think of as emotions, feelings, thoughts, and so forth. That also has been removed and kept on a hanger. Freed from these burdens, now in this state I can feel, I can see my all-pervading, luminous, one without a second, true nature. That is the experiencer. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormam Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness of ignorance to light of knowledge, from this limited existence in body to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The topic today is art of expressing the experience. And let us be clear about these words first, because I saw that there is some misunderstanding about it. The word experience is that which is our deepest awareness, where we have the consciousness. It is not that we require body to experience. It is like we do not require lights to have electricity. Electricity gets expressed through the light bulbs or various other appliances. But that doesn't mean electricity has to have a particular appliance to express. For expression it is required, that's all, not for its being. So, our experience is independent of the instruments like body and mind. It is the expression of it that requires an instrument through which it functions. Experience is the deep awareness, and we take the experience through the instruments of body and mind, and also express it through body and mind. Let us see, for example, taking the experience. Maybe you are using, say, a spoon to take pudding in. There is pudding, and uses the spoon to take the pudding in. Now, is pudding and spoon same? They are not same. Does the spoon know the taste of the pudding? It doesn't. Now, similarly, this body and mind, they are devices through which we take the experience in. Like I see these things, that becomes an experience. Even recollection of something past through the function of memory, that is an experience. We sometimes call it nostalgia, that it is something old that we experienced long back. But then now it is not directly there, so we use the memory function to again get it. So these are the input devices that our sensory organs, our mind, they are used as spoon, just as a spoon is used to take the pudding in. But we just take the pudding in. We do not put the spoon inside us. It remains outside. So similarly, body and mind, they are the instruments like spoon to get the experience. Experience is not dependent on body or mind. It is the way you want to experience, well, accordingly the instruments are attached to it. Like the same example you can take, that electricity, if you put the sound system attached to it, that electricity manifests as enhanced amplified sound. So it is, if you want to say get heat, you plug in a heater to the same electricity, and then that very electricity gets expressed as heat. So it is when in this context, when I am discussing the word experience, it is not connected to body and mind in itself. Body and mind can be used to gather it and can be used to distribute it. But that's about it. Its distribution, its accumulation and distribution depends on body and mind, but not its in its own nature, it is not dependent on them. Like painting. The painting is in the mind of the artist. It is not necessary that there has to be canvas for it. For expression, you need something like canvas or some other medium on which it gets expressed. So, when it comes to experience, now this experience has expression. It is like you have, something put in a water jar, a transparent water jar. Now, water is put there. Now you see it through the walls of the jar. Now that is an expression. your perception of the water inside. So, this expression is spontaneous, or it is modulated deliberately to make that expression or that experience conveyed to somebody else. The experience, when it is conveyed to somebody else, then you deliberately use an instrument. Or there is the spontaneity of the experience. It is, so let us take the first part of it. It is spontaneous, there is no effort involved in it. It is, for example, you hear a sad news and you feel sad. That is the experience of sadness. And without making any effort, it may show on your face, on your eyes. You may start shedding tears. It may bring some sad expression on your face. You don't have to work on it. It just comes up. But at that time, think, somebody comes to see you. You don't want those feelings or those expressions to be seen by the stranger. Now you have to put a makeup to cover that, as it were. Those expressions that are spontaneously coming, now therefore you put on a smile. If you are some happy news comes, then the smile will be automatically there. You smile. You don't have to put up a smile. But then you go to a shop and the salesperson there has to welcome you with a smile and some words. Good morning, how are you today? And a smile has to be brought on the face. So inside there may not be feeling much of happiness, but then it is brought out deliberately. Even though there may be some painful feeling inside due to some incident, the experience may not be that of happiness within, but then you bring out a smile. You put on a smile like you put on a hat, you put on a smile. So this is a deliberate expression. So these expressions of experience, they are deliberate, and that depends on the tools that one has. We do not have always all the tools, and it depends on the circumstances where you want to give expression. It depends on the person to whom you are expressing it. It is like yesterday, there was a little baby, some 8-9 month old baby, and then while the baby, I carried the baby and was walking, and then the baby was keeping quiet. But then as soon as he saw his mother, then he started crying. Now that experience is there inside, that the mother is seen. Now that gets expressed. Now that has only one tool, to cry. There is no other articulation of speech possible there. It is only, but it is a deliberate cry. It is not a spontaneous cry. It is a deliberate cry to convey to the mother. It is that, yes, I am hungry or whatever. So that could be conveyed only to the mother. So therefore, till the mother was seen, the baby was okay, fine, didn't cry. Because no point in crying to me, I am not likely to give food, you see. So it is when saw the mother, then immediately the tool was attached, crying, the vocal cords, and baby started singing till the crying continued till the baby was being fed. So it is, now this is, even babies, they give expressions according to the need, using whatever tools they have. It is not that only grown-ups do that. Grown-ups have some more tools and some less tools also. The grown-up cannot cry like a baby. That tool is not admissible if you are grown up. You don't keep crying because you want food. You use other language for that. So the babies, they are permitted to use those tools, not grown-ups. Grown-ups have other tools. They can ask for it. They can indicate by other means. So it is, the different tools are then used by depending on to whom that expression is to be given. Expression to the experience. So experience is deep. It cannot really in itself be conveyed. There is the conveying of experience doesn't happen at its deepest core, except when you can connect there with that person at that level. When you get connected at that level, then the experience as such, as it is, get transmitted to the other person. It is one great saint, Marathi saint, he expresses it like that just pour from this heart to the other heart. It is heart to heart pouring, just as you take water from one jar and put it in another cup or something. So from this heart poured into another heart. It doesn't require any other means, directly being poured. Now, if that is not the case, then one develops the other tools or uses other tools. Sometimes they need to be developed. It is, you can observe this, and I had observed it with great amazement, and it is a lesson that the same person is together. There are about 7-8 people around that person, and the person is talking to each of them, but using different tones, using different words. Those words, that particular tone, that expression is just for that fellow. It is not for others. Others can see it but won't get it. But that person will get it. So it is, the addressing was different. For example, a somewhat scolding tone was used for one person. But that person got the message. It is not that he was scolding everybody. No. That person was given that message because that was a tool to convey that particular message. That person probably needed to be given by that tool. It is like you are feeding, say, giving milk to so many people. Now, for a baby, you will require a dropper or a tiny spoon to feed. That doesn't mean a grown-up will also be given that spoon. No, it can be poured in the cup, should be poured in cup. So that is how, depending on the variety of people, different tools are used to give it. It is when a medication is to be given to a baby, then yes, you use syrup because the baby otherwise will not take it in. That medication is then dissolved in some syrupy liquid, tastes sweet, and then that is given to the baby. For grown-ups, they make it into pills, maybe sometimes sugar-coated pills, so that it doesn't taste that bitter. Sometimes it is given in capsules so that the medication does not get smeared in the oral cavity. The purpose of putting it in a capsule is that it will not get opened in the oral cavity, because that is not intended to be wasted in the mouth. It has to therefore go inside the stomach and open there. So therefore you use a capsule, put the medication in the capsule and then given. If the medication is to be given in such a way that it should not go to the stomach or digestive tract at all, then they give it through a shot. A needle is inserted in your muscle and it is given there like a shot. So there are so many different ways that it gets given, depending on to whom it is to be given. So this experience also is given in that way. Some experiences, friends, are very difficult to express. In general, every experience is impossible to be expressed as it is. Even say the common experience. I was giving example of pudding. Let us continue with that. You eat the pudding, and then how will you express how was the taste of it? It is not possible to express it. You may say it was sweet, it was delicious, but that is not exactly the characteristic experience that you had. You may express it for even a cookie. Oh, it was sweet, it was delicious. So it was not characteristically connected with the pudding, and therefore it is not the perfect expression for it. It is just as it is. That is how the scriptures describe. That how was that? It was like that. It is how did the pudding taste? It tasted like pudding. So you can't really convey the experience as it is. You may use certain expressions, facial expressions, body language, tonality, and yet what gets conveyed is only a part of it. If you use more skills, that is where the art comes. That you have to then see that the person remembers, the other person remembers that when he or she has eaten pudding. How does it taste? Oh, the other day, you had it just like that. So now that experience is invoked, and through comparison, now it is told. You had a pudding the other day, very similar, only this one was less sweet, that was more sweet. Now, a better way, the experience has been conveyed in better details. But essentially, it is very difficult to convey the experience as such, and that difficulty gets infinitely multiplied when it comes to the experience of the absolute truth that the sages have. And that is where our topic today is that that experience is difficult to actually give it to others because of many reasons. Firstly, many do not want to get it, and therefore it is so difficult to give. It is, if you do not really want it, then, well, you will have to come to the level to get yourself ready to get at least some glimpse of it. Sri Ramakrishna gave, well, it is a very nice example in his biography, that there were many people coming to Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna was talking to them about God. And in the room there in Dakshineshwar, one man entered. Now we have discussed it here many times that Sri Ramakrishna could easily see, spontaneously see the inside of every person. Inside, in the sense, what is going on in the mind of that person was very clearly visible to Sri Ramakrishna. And so he saw what is in this person's mind, what is he coming for, what stage of spiritual evolution that person is. And so to many others he was telling there that, one should realize God in life, and this is the way you can change your life so that you can realize, have that yearning for God realization. While he was telling this to others, this person enters, and when Sri Ramakrishna looked at him, he told that person, "You get out from here, you fellow." Sri Ramakrishna, there is no mention that Sri Ramakrishna knew that person before. But as that person enters, Sri Ramakrishna says, "Get out from here. Do whatever you want. But remember, do not do anything thinking that you are doing spiritual practice." And that was that expression that Sri Ramakrishna used to convey an experience to him, that do not be a hypocrite. That is an important thing, that do whatever you want to do, but do not put a label that this is spiritual. That was an important lesson for that person. That person needed it. That it is, because many come to spiritual places, religious places, to temples, to church, to make a show. It is, sometimes it happens consciously, many times subconsciously. Consciously they are not having any other idea that yes, we should do some religious practice. But in the subconscious there are so many other desires going on. And when you go, when one such person goes in a religious place, those desires come out. That, I have to achieve this from this person, I have to get this benefit of his company, this is a good time, it seems, to give a business proposal to that guy. So all these things start coming on the fore. It is, I have experienced these things here also. Not that this place is aloof from every place you will have, and nothing, this is, we are all in the same boat. Because these things are in the subconscious. One gentleman some time back, this is just an example, nothing wrong as such, because many people do it. So as soon as he learned that a particular member who comes here is a lawyer, now his idea of coming here and that lawyer's idea of coming here was, at least in their conscious mind, is to get benefited by the religious and spiritual teachings here. But then that man started consulting that person as lawyer. Their meetings here were that lawyers' meetings, not lawyer and the client. That became, and this became kind of a meeting place. That yes, so that found an expression there. So Sri Ramakrishna saw that this person has as such no spiritual inkling inside. He has no capacity to receive anything directly. But at least this knowledge may come to him, this awareness may come to him that whatever he is doing is not religious. It is. So he said, get out from here. Hardly anywhere you see Sri Ramakrishna using this kind of an expression, hey, get out. Actually, you rascal, he said. Salah, he used that word to that word. Get out from here. Do whatever you want. But do not think that it is something that is religious. And that is an expression suitable for that person. He is not going to use it for other people, that is not suitable for them. So, the expression is to be given in a deliberate way. When you have to give it, you have to see to whom it is being given and take out that particular tool through which it can be given. It is, therefore, one needs expertise in that when to give, how to give. In Bhagavad Gita, in the very first chapter, you find this, that Arjuna was telling Krishna, a big lecture is being given by Arjuna, who later announces that I am your disciple. But in the beginning, he is giving advice to Krishna. That is the first chapter, that we should not fight war. Good that I remembered it right before we started the battle. So let's pack up from here. I don't want to fight war. Sri Krishna was not opening his mouth at all. All this while, till Arjuna asks his opinion. And now he could see that Arjuna himself is now feeling confused about all that he was talking about. He said all this to Krishna to get the support of Krishna, that's all. He himself was not clear about it. There was a lot of ambiguity in his mind, and therefore Krishna saw that now is the right time to tell him that what you were talking was rubbish. He did not refute anything that Arjuna was telling. It is all very nice, but it doesn't apply to you at all. It does not apply to you. That, see, look at your behavior, your awareness. You are talking the words of sages while you yourself are not at all at that level. What is good at the level of sages? You cannot be talking like that, whose mind is full of that revenge, idea of revenge and getting the justice, killing these evil Kauravas and so forth. If that was the uppermost thing in your mind, and therefore you are just prattling, parroting what the sages, what befitted sages. So it is prajnavadanscha bhashase, these are the words in Bhagavad Gita, that it is that you are grieving for that which need not be grieved for, and yet you are talking like a person of knowledge. So, and then Arjuna further asks questions, and this knowledge can now be given. So somebody has to be made ready to receive it first. Like you take a pot, that it is, and if it is kept upside down, say many times our cups and glasses, you see, they are put upside down for properly keeping them. Now if you want to put, say, tea or coffee in that cup, what do? You have to first put the mouth up, put that opening up, and then pour the liquid in it. Otherwise it will just get wasted. So the Sri Krishna had that art, that skill, how to give it. And it is amazing to see Bhagavad Gita is a treatise, of course, of the highest spiritual wisdom, but it is also a wonderful education on psychology. At what stage and how a particular truth can be imparted. It is otherwise, in our enthusiasm, we just keep on pouring coffee on all the cups that are kept upside down, you see, and that is, it goes wasted. So this is a skill that one has to develop. This is the art, that let the mind be first open and then pour it. You see many such instances in Bhagavad Gita that Sri Krishna waits for Arjuna to come in a proper psychological condition where it can be given. So when two things are to be told to Arjuna, he consciously chooses what is to be told first and what next. There is, in the commentary of Shankara and all, it is nicely mentioned. In the 12th chapter, a similar incident comes where Arjuna asks about which of the paths is superior. That the path of to be, just to save time, I am not going into the details, but then the gist of it is the path of the that which has no form, formless path. The form is not there, qualities are not there. That Arjuna is thinking that that is the superior path. And the path of having the bhakti or devotion, love to a form of God, which is superior. Now he sees that Arjuna's mind is leaning towards the formless, but he is not capable of that. That is the problem with many of us, because it has an aura of being intellectual and so forth, that I am superior. Because those inferior people, they somehow worship different forms. I don't need it. I worship the truth directly as it is. Good to say, but are we capable of doing it? It is, and Sri Krishna did not want to pour just cold water on Arjuna's enthusiasm. So he deals it very psychologically. That, okay, it is, he begins by telling how the path of worship or devotion through the forms is great. He tells that first in an emphatic way, and then tells the other path is of course very good, and you are not Dare to follow that path. It is very difficult for you. And that also he doesn't say to you, but Dehavat bhi. Those who are identified with bodies, for them it does not come easily to worship or to pray or to follow the divine by going to the formless. You need a form. So this is given psychologically. The expression is just exactly as it would go to Arjuna. Not if suppose, this is hypothetical, that if somebody like Prahlada is asking this question, the answer would have been given very differently. Actually it is. In some other, in Bhagavatam and other places, you see these things are told differently. But here Arjuna, who has this strong leaning towards the formless, now that person is told without hurting the devotion. The devotion is to be kept intact. Only the leaning has to be that which is not going to be helpful has to be brought in the proper way first, and then that expression to the experiences to be given in that way. We see today is birth anniversary of one of the great direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Every disciple of Sri Ramakrishna was unique in some way. Latu Maharaj or Swami Adbhutananda was unique. In that, he didn't have any formal education. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna said, he is even less educated even than me. It is Sri Ramakrishna's schooling was almost, he used to say, I am illiterate. He wasn't really illiterate, but he, with exaggeration, he would say almost illiterate. But he tried to teach Sri Ramakrishna. Imagine, Sri Ramakrishna teaching this Adbhutananda how to write. And then in disgust says that, no, well, I can't teach you. It is impossible. Now this Adbhutananda, Swami Vivekananda used to call him Plato, because his pre-monastic name was Latu and used to get pronounced many times as Leto. So Swami Vivekananda converted into Plato, that because the words of deep philosophical wisdom would come from him. His understanding, his experience was very deeply spiritual, and he had, without any education, the skill of expressing it to the various devotees. There are so many instances. I will tell you just a couple of them. One is the spontaneous expression to his experience. He was living anywhere in Kolkata. He was not living in our Ramakrishna Mutt as such much. Sometimes he would live, mostly not. Because he had said to Vivekananda, you made all these rules that everybody has to get up at 4 o'clock and start meditating. I am not at that level that your bell will ring and my mind will go in meditation. It is, so I cannot live there. Now his level was such that he was meditating all the time. He didn't need any formal invitation. He didn't want this bell, because the bell would disturb his meditation rather than... so he said, no, I don't want to be here. But he encouraged everybody that if you want to stay there, you must obey the rules. Vivekananda said to him, no, you don't have to follow. These are for novices. No, that will set bad example. If I am to stay there, I have to obey. So he was staying in one day, and that was his residence on many occasions. There was a devotee, Upen Babu, Upen, and then he was running a press. So he would just put a sheet on the wooden boxes that contained paper and such material and sleep there. Now, on one night, those workers who were engaged in printing, they heard a loud noise. He was as if he was yelling at somebody. Latu was yelling at somebody. And they went, oh, who is there at this hour? Latu was saying, you can't do that to me. Remember, I will not let you do such a thing to me. And they came and saw this Latu Maharaj was sitting in a pose that is called Virasana. Means a pose that is in the worship ritual also used to convey a resolve. And it is to show the valor, as if some enemy is attacking, that some temptation is coming to him. And to that temptation, it was a spontaneous response that, well, I won't let you touch me, get out. And the others heard what happened. Now this could not be conveyed to them, so he just kept quiet, that's all. I told them that go away. So it is, now this is an inner experience expressed to just for a spontaneous expression for oneself. Like Sri Ramakrishna's experience of Samadhi when he was acting Shiva in a play. Now it was not meant to convey this to anybody. He just got into Samadhi and fell there. The experience had this expression which was spontaneous. Now when there are many people, and that is a very telling incident, now he wants to communicate how it happens. He was being asked by the disciples many times, how do you go in Samadhi? How your mind just gets away from everything in the world and it merges into God? How the process is happening? Tell me. Tell us. Now Sri Ramakrishna, as he would think of it, telling about Samadhi, he would go into Samadhi. So talking wouldn't happen, you see. So that day he said, today I have determined. It is such an eye-opener incident and shows the tremendous love that Sri Ramakrishna has for the devotees, disciples. Says, today I am not going to just hold anything back. I am going to tell everything. And he, with lot of control, that the mind wouldn't go into that state of trance, in a controlled, modulated voice, he started telling that, look, it is, you feel the presence of God. That is, when that Kundalini power, it rises up to heart. Now you feel the direct presence of God. It is there. And now you feel that you have to realize it. Now you make efforts to push it further up. Now it rises up. He also mentions that there is fear here. When your experience of God is of this level, you can go down, you can have a fall. It is like he is describing going on the ladder. You can climb 4 or 5 steps, gone up. But then there is that, it is not really a landing as such, it is only a step And so if you are not cautious, you may lose balance and fall. So he says here, when you are feeling God in heart, he describes it. It is like a light that flashes there. And so now your mind is filled with joy. It is an immense joy. But if the mind goes to joy, then you will not go ahead. So, therefore, you have to be cautiously push it ahead. Then, he said, it rises further to the neck. And there you see very clearly the nature of the God. He tells a few lines about it, but cannot tell much now, because the minds of the people listening have no idea of all that, so that it is everything is left behind now. But he does not forget to mention, even from here the mind can fall down. Now he says, you go further up. It is rising further up. It is unique that Sri Ramakrishna is able to describe everything like that, and not many incidents in his life are there where he has described it. You can listen to it, you can read it in Leela Prasangas, Sri Ramakrishna and the Great Master or Divine Play, that how he is describing out of love for the devotees and disciples, and he is very cautious now, because he has come to that top level. The mind can any time merge in samadhi. See what a contrast, For an ordinary person, we have to work against that pull of gravity to climb up. For Sri Ramakrishna, the pull is upwards. Somehow to hold on to the level of ground, for the sake of us, he is holding on to the level of ground. Then, what happens? He says, it comes between the brows, as it were, the mind comes there. And he is now exercising tremendous caution. And says, there you see, there is only a thin, transparent screen, a very thin, transparent screen between you and God. You can as if touch that God. It's so low. And next he falls into samadhi. Next could not be told. And again his mind is brought down. He tries again. He tries again and again. And Swami Sardananda then describes ultimately, he says after a few attempts, the mind would rise. Up to that he could describe. And after that, as he would go to describe, he would just go into samadhi. And so he gave the expression to this happening. Sri Ramakrishna gives a unique expression to it. Only Sri Ramakrishna could do that. He said, what can I do? I want to tell you everything. I don't want to hold anything back from you. But this Divine Mother, she holds my mouth. What can I do? So he could not tell by words, but he has really told, isn't it? That it cannot be told has been told by that. It cannot be told absolutely, even after Sri Ramakrishna making this tremendous effort, it could not be told. And that is what he has conveyed, that it is beyond the speech and mind. So this is one way that Sri Ramakrishna could convey it in this manner. Another experience that is of Swami Adbhutananda, He, as I mentioned, he wouldn't read any scriptures, he didn't know how to read. But sometimes or other he would wake up one Swami at the dead of the night. Hey, read some Bhagavad Gita to me and tell me the meaning. For him, day and night were same. It is all meditation. That's all. So, and that Swami would then read and explain, and he would go satisfied. One day, a scholar had come and then was talking about Kathopanishad, and one verse comes there, that the beautiful verse, and that example of a stem, and inside the stem of a grass stem, very thin in itself, very thin and fragile. Inside that there is another stem, and that is still more fragile. Now he says that the Upanishad says one has to take out the self as it were. Imagine the process is being described. It has to be separated through this covering of body very carefully. Otherwise it will break. You cannot let it break. Munjadiva ishikam dhairyena. So it is like that separating the outer stem, which is very fragile, and the inner stem, which is still more fragile. You have to separate the two. So exactly like that, the self is to be separated from this body. And when that scholar was describing it, Swami Adbhutananda got so excited. Exactly that is how it happens. That is, it tallied so much with his experience. Exactly. And he didn't stop. He was with Swami Shuddhananda, a very scholarly disciple of Swami Vivekananda. So, he kept on telling Shuddhananda again and again that Pandit, that scholar was telling right. That is how it happens. They went back to monastery and the night and all, but he couldn't keep quiet. He again knocked on the door of Swami Shuddhananda. Remember what that scholar said, that Pandit? He told the right thing. It happens exactly like that. Now, he was emphasizing this process again and again in such an emphatic way that is how it happens. So, this is how, for that particular person, the tool of expression was like this. Not a big talk necessary, just, this is how it happens. Remember, this is how it happens. So, that is giving expression to the experience inside. So many sages, you see, they find out some analogy suitable to us, understandable to us, and thus try to convey that experience to us. They have to use many times, and people therefore wonder. It is all contradictory. Vedanta is full of contradictions. Swami Vivekananda and Sri Ramakrishna, they were talking in contradictory terms. One day will say this, another day will say God is like this, third day they will say God is like this. What is it? It is contradictory. And although contradictory is, in mathematics, it is certainly that contradiction means for disproving something you use contradiction, and by other way means assuming something that is you want to disprove, you show that it is contradictory and thus gets disproved. So anyway, here in Vedanta, the idea is told which cannot be told, and therefore something told, one will take it literally, that means it is like that. And therefore to remove that impression, it is told, no, it is not like that. Sometimes it is said, that very commonly is seen, not this, not this. Now why should it be told twice? And one teacher explained that telling once, not this, you get some idea in your mind. And to negate that idea, again this expression you used, not this. That is also not God. God is not this, but then by negating you get some negative impression. That also is not right. And so Sri Ramakrishna used to say, neti neti and iti iti. There are these two paths that go by negating or go by affirming. In Ishavasya Upanishad you read these contradictory words. Tadejati tannaijati. It ejati means it moves or vibrates. And immediately the next word is, but it doesn't move. It doesn't vibrate. Now how it is? Well, that is how they are giving expression to this inner awareness, that you have to take it together. Try to feel this. Let us try to feel this, that if you look at it as a form, it changes, but as the spirit, it does not change. So all that moves is pervaded by that, and therefore it moves. In a movie, you see the things moving, the objects move, the people move, the cars move, so it is moving. But the screen is not moving, and that reality of the moving car is also actually unmoving screen, and therefore it moves, it doesn't move. I say, well, I walk, I move, but no, I do not move, because my reality is beyond space and time. How can I move? So it moves, it doesn't move. Now that is how the sages express their experience. The experience is of the spiritual wisdom or spiritual awareness cannot be expressed. In the Bible you read that God was seen by Moses, and Moses asked, who are you? Who are you? Tell me about you. And God says only, I am that I am. I am that I am. That is, no further scrutiny can be made of it. And that is how that was given to Moses. I am that I am. There is no further specifications to that. So these are the different ways that one can look at this, having the tools of expressing. The expression is according to the one whom to be it has to be expressed. The experience is, of course, the central thing. It is one has to have that experience and then learn how to distribute that experience according to the nature of that person and situation. So thank you, friends. Let us see what programs are awaiting us next coming week. That coming Sunday, the topic is how to use ego. The Tuesday and Friday classes, they will go on as usual at 7:30 p.m. The regular daily meditations, prayers, that program will also go on as usual. And that's about it. So let us, after Vishwanath finishes the offertory, anything else to be told, Charlie?
Well, closing prayer.
Yeah, but oh, questions. Yeah, okay, questions. Oh, yeah. So you have to give now expressions to the, if there is any question in your mind, you have to give a proper expression to that. So, yes, Vailuko?
Or I don't even know how to express the experience, but I feel called to try to show the conflicting nature of the word. Like, there's a lightness in awareness, and you're like, I am. And then I thought, well, where do thoughts come from? And then formless appeared. But how does formlessness appear? That's the concept.
Exactly, it is.
And then there's an infiniteness, but then it's like I'm experiencing infinite, but how can I be separate from infinite? And it's another contradiction, but it's how it feels. And then you realize that the I am of awareness comes from this, but this isn't even the I comes from that, but that itself isn't an I. So then the I and the no I disappears, and it's another contradiction. And it's just, there's a weight, a heaviness, a flatness, even though I was just weightlessness, and there's no space and time. And it's, like, there's a sense of time. It's just contradiction after contradiction.
Yeah, exactly, you are right. It is a series of contradictions, but you have to, what gets called as contradiction in words, it is, one can see that it is a harmonious assimilation of both of them.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it is, yes.
Then I didn't know how to, from the scriptures, it's like, oh, I'm just immersed into that, but it's like that thin little screen, but a part of me is going, but I am that. How am I separate from it?
The-
Knowing that you're coming from.
Yes, it is not separate. Therefore, it is said that no words can express it. It is, you have to keep quiet, that we cannot really utter a word. Bible therefore says, letter killeth. Give an expression, and that is not the proper expression. And so, what can you do? And yet, it is proper for some. So, for some, it may help them to realize that truth. In that sense, it is proper for some people. Yeah. Yes, Charlie?
Do you think that the contradictions between different religions serve the same purpose, so that you can resolve them and don't take them literally?
The contradictions between different religions that you are asking, yeah, it is, Sri Ramakrishna mentioned that to people who know, say, French, for us that substance, the word will be used, aqua. For those who are knowing Sanskrit, they will use jal. Those who are English speaking, for the same substance, water will be the word that they would use. So in like that, the words are to be used according to whom that is addressed, like that. So we shall conclude with the closing prayers. May the divine who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.
Fourth Shanti. birthday song.
Afterwards, after the arati. Isn't it?